Hi, welcome to the Hard Rock Show. I'm Shane.
I'm Andrew.
We're getting close to the end of the year, so
Yeah, well, we're just back after a week off because of a certain someone's 30th birthday. So
yeah,
I'm sure you had a good night.
yeah, I was recovering for a few days.
Yeah, not surprising considering the state you were in. I'm glad I was driving that night.
Well,
after.
people just kept pouring drinks down my throat.
You never say no anyway.
No, I wouldn't.
No, so there you go.
Straight into the news.
Yes.
Hard rock happenings.
A lot to get through and not much time left. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of recovery and,
Yeah.
and drinking,
Yeah.
a few weeks or possibly months ago now, we mentioned that Motorhead jumping on the same bandwagon as AC/DC, and they
Yep.
released a range of wines.
Yes, they did.
Now you can get Motorhead vodka.
That's kind of funny considering I don't know how much vodka Lemmy drinks, considering it's usually Jack, but
Don't know, but it's
Yeah.
only available in Sweden at the moment. More countries are soon to come, apparently. But it's a really cool looking bottle too.
I haven't seen the bottle
Yeah.
yet, so...
I'm definitely going to try to add that to the collection when I...
Oh, that'll have to be
Can you
done.
find
That hands down. We're both collectors, so there you go.
Definitely.
Okay, the next one, I guess. Guns N' Roses are going to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not, let's say, a safe bet, because we don't have any idea. No one has any idea about who is going to turn up for the induction.
Nope.
How well people are going to get along at said induction, and if the band is traditionally supposed to play, I don't see how that's going to happen in this case at all. Nothing like what people would actually want to see anyway.
No. There's obviously going to be a lot of rumour and speculation over the
Yeah.
next few months because it doesn't happen until April, I believe,
Yeah,
early
that's
April.
about the time, yeah.
There'll be a lot of negotiations happening, I would say, and
Under the table dealings and whatever else have you.
but basically the Van Halen induction was probably the worst induction ever,
Yeah.
and this one has the potential to make that look
Good by comparison.
awesome.
Yeah, that's... So good luck. I don't think you're doing yourselves a whole lot of favour. I actually am not really keen on this idea because I don't want, if for any reason that Guns N' Roses get back together out of this, I don't want the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame claiming any credit for that. I don't think the institution has that much credibility. So
I love Guns N' Roses.
yeah,
Always have, always will. The proper Guns N' Roses.
yes, not this current incarnation.
But I don't think that they really need to be going into the Hall of Fame yet.
No.
This is the first time they've been up for it and they're going in, whereas bands like Motorhead, Judas Priest, Rush, still not in. But we won't go on about that.
Going for a bloody decade about that mob,
Yeah,
but anyway,
absolutely.
we'll leave that one behind, I think.
Now, Metallica have a whole bunch of new songs, or new old songs that are floating around on
Yeah.
the internet at the moment that are leftovers from the Death Magnetic sessions.
Yeah,
There's one by the name of Hate Train, which is fucking awesome.
it's unbelievable.
I don't know why these got left off Death Magnetic, because I said earlier, I'm actually a fan of Death Magnetic, but Hate Train's probably better than anything on Death Magnetic. So
Well, I listened to it the first time before we came in here to film, and you're right. It goes right back, even more so than the Death Magnetic album does, to the roots of Kill 'Em All and Puppets and things like that. That it's just unbelievable how good that track is, and that it didn't make it. For me personally, I reckon it ties in what we said a few weeks about Corey Taylor slamming Rick Rubin for not being the producer he was. If he had any say and he was the one that dictated that track not getting onto the album, wow, that's all I got to say about that.
well, there's like I said, there's a few tracks floating around, and
Yeah.
Metallica have actually been throwing them into their live sets lately as well. So they've obviously got faith behind the songs.
Exactly.
And yeah, I don't know.
Strange things, but hey, it's rock and roll, I guess. What can you do? Now, Queen. We haven't spoken about Queen much, even though they are a massive influence on so many bands. But there was talk about the surviving members of Queen getting together and trying to do a new album with outtaked vocals, things that never made it onto records of Freddie Mercury. They've gone through it and found they don't have enough to do a full album because they don't want to be scraping the bottom of the barrel too obviously.
Yep.
So what they're thinking now is that there'll be a couple of tracks, maybe an EP or something like that might come out of it, which would be unreal to hear Freddie's voice again that we haven't heard before after, how long is it now since he passed away?
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. So that would be unbelievable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I would be hanging for that if they can get it together.
I'd like to hear a few tracks. It'd be cool. Ozzy Osbourne has just celebrated his 63rd birthday.
How the hell he got there, I'll never know.
That's one of life's great mysteries. But he's still kicking and obviously hard at work on the new Black Sabbath record at the moment.
Yes.
But happy birthday, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne.
Hope you enjoyed it. And one last one, I guess. Now, Rolling Stone, we covered last. We did a guitarist poll. Now, they've done a poll on the best Van Halen song. I don't know how many tracks there were to choose from, but 80% of the tracks were from the Dave Lee Roth era. 20% were from Sammy Hagar, none from John Corabi.
Gary Cherone.
Gary Cherone. Sorry, why am I thinking... No. Anyway, I'm an idiot. Leave me alone, Gary Cherone. Yes, okay. Spaz that I am. The track that won was Unchained.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're a fan of that.
I do. I like Unchained, and I'm always a fan of when one of the more obscure, doesn't get played on radio very much tracks wins a poll like that.
Yeah.
Because it's normally the Jumps and Panamas and Why Can't This Be Loves that win that kind of stuff. And it's good to see a track that doesn't get a whole lot of airplay take out #1 spot. So,
well, it's a fan-voted poll, so the people have spoken.
And it is a great song.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Well, that's it for news.
Yep, end of the hard rock happenings.
Yeah, so now we've got some releases to talk about.
Yes, we do.
The first of which is a DVD this time. We did a couple of DVDs last week as well. The man that we just spoke about, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes.
His son, Jack, has put together a DVD, a documentary called God Bless Ozzy Osbourne. And it is a good watch.
It is, yes.
It's not high up in the caliber of the Lemmy or
Pearl
Rush
Jam 20
or the Pearl Jam 21. That was another great one. The Foo Fighters one that we talked about last week.
Yep.
But it is a good watch. It's, if you've been a long time fan of Ozzy Osbourne, it's not going to teach you anything. You're not going to learn anything new by it. We know all of his stories. But
everyone does if you're a fan at all. But for those who haven't followed Ozzy that much, this will open your eyes a lot to what he has been through in his time.
That's it. If you haven't followed his career, this will shed some light on his career and the man that he is for you. I was actually speaking to someone the other day that has never heard, that they know of, because I'm sure they would have heard it in commercials or movies or whatever, an actual solo Ozzy Osbourne track.
Yeah, that's strange considering...
They're a huge fan of Black Sabbath. They've never heard an Ozzy Osbourne track. And that's not because they haven't wanted to.
Yeah. Just never got around to it.
Never got around to it. Yeah. So there is people out there that don't follow Ozzy's career that closely, and this will be a good watch for them.
I think this is a good release, especially bearing in mind the debacle that was the Osbournes on MTV. Now, the way they portrayed Ozzy in that TV series was not putting him in a good light.
No, and this documentary actually shed some light on that basically they made him look bad.
Because it was for ratings.
Well, I mean, he was making himself look bad at the time as well, but
he was
the way they edited it and everything was, it made him look bad.
I do have one small thing about the DVD, and that is Sharon Osbourne is the executive producer of it.
Yep.
So how much control she's had at the end of the day, I don't know. So take that for what it's worth for those who do know about the dynamic with Sharon and Ozzy and that. So
yeah. But we've got another DVD now.
Yep.
Slash Made in Stoke. Yes. It's a concert of his solo shows with Miles Kennedy that was filmed in his hometown in Stoke-on-Trent in England, which was the first time he'd ever played a gig there. He was born there and he left when he was young and he hasn't been back since. He's never done a gig there, so it was a homecoming show to him.
Your turn.
The songs that they play, there's Velvet Revolver, Guns N' Roses, Snake Pit.
Yep.
It's got a real fantastic mix of songs on there.
Yeah, really good.
And they're all done very well. Nothing to say? Is it Nothing to Say? Voices?
Nothing to say.
Nothing to say.
The M Shadows.
Yeah, the guitarist actually takes vocal duty on that. Miles Kennedy doesn't sing it.
No, I think you're thinking of Dr.
Dr. Alibi, yes,
the bass player takes the vocals.
Bass player.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
That was, it was very good and very interesting. And they were playing in the DVD about him being appealing to the ladies, so to speak.
Yeah,
So-
because Dr. Alibi was a track that they didn't play when we seen them live.
No, exactly.
And I seen them live at Soundwave as well.
Yeah.
And they didn't do Dr. Alibi, so it was good to see them actually do that live. But we were talking about the look of this DVD as well.
Yeah.
It's not overly polished or anything. It looks like you were there. It's just it's a really good looking concert film, and I really enjoyed it.
And we can say that because we have seen the performance, and it does look like you were just there. It's a very stripped back. There's nothing really going on. It's just got his standard backdrop behind on stage. But the only big effect you've got going on is the very end of it when they do a bloody rain of confetti.
Yeah.
That's the only effect. The rest of it is just pure rock and roll, just cut together with different camera angles. And it's really, really well done. So very raw, but beautiful for it.
Absolutely. Now, some CDs.
Yep.
Primus. It's been kicking around for a few months now, and we've sort
finally
of
got
put it on
around
the
to
back burner, but that's not because it's a terrible album or anything. It's just because there was so much better stuff.
A lot to get through, as always.
It's called Green Naugahyde. It's their first album in quite a while.
And I think it's the first time this particular lineup have recorded an album together.
Yep.
Yeah.
In saying that, I wouldn't say that there's actually a standout track on the album. None of it's bad, but it's just very definitely a Primus album.
That's all you can really say about it. If you know Primus, you know what you're in for with this album. If you don't know Primus, well then get ready for something different.
And if you don't know Primus, I wouldn't suggest starting with this one. I'd go back to Sailing the Seas of Cheese or something like that. That'd be the album I'd start with, I think.
Just bear in mind that for those of you who don't know Primus, these guys, or Les Claypool at least, who is the main man of Primus, did the South Park thing.
And the Robot Chicken thing.
Yeah, so gives you an idea of where these guys creatively driven, I guess.
We're just on fire today.
Yeah, we're doing really well, aren't we?
One more release.
Yep.
6 a.m. They just recently brought out their second album. Now they've done a 7-track acoustic EP, which has just been released. It's called 7.
Yep.
And it's tracks from their first 2 albums. There's no new tracks on here, but it's just really good to see how well the tracks from the first 2 albums translate into the acoustic. They've added a whole lot of depth to the songs as well, with the string section and pianos
and stuff, and the guitar chords are completely changed. It's not just power chords and stuff anymore. It's really opened up, and it does translate really, really well.
They were great songs originally, and I think depending on your mood, they might even be better in this acoustic format.
It's definitely more rounded, and it gives you such a great idea of what these guys are capable of musically, and I look forward to more from it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now a while ago we sat in a rehearsal room with a band called Dead Star Renegade, who we've talked about on the show quite a few times now.
Yep.
And we did an interview that goes for the better part of an hour.
Yep.
So we're going to play a little piece of that interview now.
Now, I will say in advance, you'll have to apologise for the edits and things like this. And this is back when we had the old camera and the lighting wasn't ideal. So we're aware of the quote-unquote not being the world's best quality. But it is still good. It came out really well. And just, be prepared. There's some edits. I've smoothed them out as much as I can. But there's a lot of work that goes into this one. So, guys, you know that you were there and you know what this was. So hopefully everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, so check it out. So, how's the reception been for the album so far?
Pretty good. Really good. Surprising.
In terms of reviews and stuff, it's blown us away. Like the amount of positive feedback we've gotten from the album's just been great. You know, like every sort of review that we've gotten back so far has been pretty positive. You know, I'm waiting for that lemon to come along where someone just bags the crap out of it. But it hasn't happened yet, which is nice. But
overseas airplay.
Yeah, played on Northern Ireland, thanks to you guys. And Canada, New Zealand, France.
Good name, mate.
And so the reception's been really good. The reviews and stuff, and I'm exactly the same as him. Like we're waiting to get an email from someone going, I've reviewed your album, go and have a look, and it's got shut the polish.
You know you're doing well when that happens.
Well,
when you got people hating on you, that's when you're doing well, man.
That's exactly right.
Sales records.
That's amazing.
Well, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So.
From my point of view, if somebody hates it enough to really bag the crap out of it, then there's always going to be somebody else who loves it enough to rave about it. And that's the thing, is where we're getting a lot of great reviews, which is awesome, but you want that guy to turn around and go, this thing just stinks, so people who like it will stand up and stand up for it and kind of fight for it. Yeah. So
really is that point in time.
yeah, absolutely. So, but at the moment, we've gotten quite a few people, and maybe we're just giving it to the right people, you know.
Done my research.
If we hand it out to all these people who are kind of, we already know are into our style of music, we're giving ourselves a pretty good chance to get a good review. But you know, yeah. So
might find some death metal reviewers and start sending it off to them.
You guys seem quite happy to do all the work yourselves as well. Like, you pretty much booked all your own gigs and self-released the album. And
I don't know if it's
like
necessarily happy. I think
well, you're not afraid of the hard work that goes with it.
I think it's more that we know that it's inevitable, that that's what you've got to do if you want to get out there and play to people and do it. If you sit around kind of going, let's come into rehearsal studio every week and write songs and hope that some magical fairy from Sony land comes along and whisks us away and takes us around the world, you know, it's just not going to happen. Yeah,
you got to put yourselves out there. No one's going to come and knock on the studio door.
That's it, exactly. And so, you know, we figure, well, you know, the odds of picking up a decent record deal that's going to get you what you need to do the marketing and everything else that goes along with it all, and the odds of picking up a manager who's actually going to have your interests at heart and really get behind the band and help you do what you want to do, the odds are so slim that we sort of went, screw that, let's just do it ourselves. You know,
we'd love to have someone.
Hell, if there's anybody out there who fits any of those categories, give us a buzz.
You know, I spend more time at work doing band stuff than I do doing work. So, and that's
a good thing though. Technically, you're getting paid to do band stuff.
As long as I'm still getting paid and still got a job. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be great if someone came along, but you know, they've got to be the right person and all that sort of stuff, and have a bit of experience and knowledge. But yeah, if there is anyone out there, then contact us for sure. Good.
Some of you guys have families and stuff of your own now, so how do you balance your personal lives with the, you know, obviously hectic schedule of trying to push an unsigned band out into the scene and all that sort of stuff? How do you guys balance the...
Delicately.
Yeah. Yeah, very delicately. You do.
That's the biggest challenge, actually.
I don't know.
Incriminating. I think they...
No, because everyone's in the same situation, man. I mean, you're always trying to balance out, you know, what you sort of your home life with your work life, with your band life. It's like, you know, you're living in... You don't have time. I mean, I don't have time because, you know, I get back from work and I'm, you know, straight away trying to practice.
Off to the gym.
Yeah,
look at that.
Look at lifting his weights. Look at his guns. He's even got hairs on his muscles.
No, you get back home, you know, you got to work out your parts. You got to, you know, run over the set, you know, a couple of times and all that sort of stuff, and then you got to cook and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'll say something. At first, I was a bit worried, knowing that these guys were married with young kids, and the other guitarist also had two really, really young kids, and I thought, oh man, you know, I don't want to have to cancel a wicked bloody tour because they wanted to stay home with their kids and all. But it has worked out so well, you know, and I think their families are a lot more understanding than what I thought they would be, and they know that this is what they want to do, and I think they're sort of letting them. That's good, and if you're watching, Rel and Deb, love you.
We love you too.
And I love these blokes. We're all family now.
But I think also, like from that, following on from that, I think one of the important things that for me is to try to get them involved. Like one of the great things was when we played that acoustic gig.
Yeah.
You know, the kids come along and they're all running around having a great time, and that was brilliant. That was a really good thing from our perspective.
High fives.
Yeah, high five and Jimmy and stuff. Yeah, it was great. But
Jimmy.
Jimmy. But now, see, one of the things that we haven't done yet that we're now got on the cards and that is coming up is interstate shows, and and regional shows and all that sort of stuff. And the way that's probably the more difficult thing to handle. But what my plan is, at least for that sort of stuff, is to make it when we go away. It might not be very rock and roll, but when we go away on occasion to say to Adelaide or to Tassie or whatever, take the family with us. You know,
that's what we want to try and do. I think.
Get all the kids together, and they'll have a good time.
Yeah, Dumbo with Jay. Jay will play with them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a big extended family.
Good thing it probably helps you guys cope with being away from home a lot easier as well. So.
Totally.
It encourages the bond between
awesome.
all as well.
It totally does. Makes the bond between the bands.
And that actually affects the music that we put out as well. You know, if you're in a good mood when you come to the studio, you know, stuff just flows. The riffs just come out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, just back onto Blackwing. What was it like to work with Ricky Ray as your producer?
Unreal.
Awesome.
Top bloke.
We love him.
Good on you, Ricky.
Yeah. Nah, it was great. He's
love your hair, Ricky.
He's got a beard now. Have you seen his beard?
I have. He's looking very, very funky now, isn't he?
No, he's great.
He's mastered the look.
He kind of looks like the greatest American hero.
Put that in there.
Make sure he sees it.
Ricky was great. You know, he's so easy. So easy to work.
I can't believe it myself. Sorry.
So easy to work.
That's for you, Ricky.
So easy to work with. Like, you know, he's got this studio up in Riddles Creek, and
beautiful
huge, big farm, sort of farmland. Would you call it farmland? Rolling hills.
Just acres of loveliness.
Acres of
acres of loveliness.
You sit at his desk, at his mixing desk, and he's got this massive window, and it just looks straight out onto this humongous hill. And we went for a couple of walks up there, and there's kangaroos up there, and it was just a really peaceful sort of place. And Ricky as a person is just really easygoing and great to work with. Like he'll
straight away.
We really hit it off with him.
Top bloke, and he's not afraid to tell you what he thinks and tell you how he thinks it should be. But he's also not. He's also approachable enough for you to, you know, argue the point with him or whatever, and you know, you kind of bounce off each other and just a great bloke to work with. Really, I felt like he brought out the best out of all of us, really.
He got really good performances.
He was able to get
being
us
a drummer,
to be
he busted
enough.
my balls, but I'd fucking bust my balls again for him. That was It was fantastic.
So given the opportunity, you guys have worked with him again?
Oh yeah.
Bloody it's on the cards.
For sure.
Told him?
No. Ricky, it's on the cards. When we can muster up the money to do another album, and we've got some songs.
We're coming for you, William Cat.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you know, there's a lot of bands now that are sort of wanting to work with him. It's funny. Like, I've had a few people from other bands come up to me at gigs and stuff, and that have heard our album and said, you know, tell us about this guy.
A couple of people come up to us and express interest in working with him as well, based on your album and Electric Mary's album.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what turned us onto it in the first place.
Mary.
Was the Electric Mary album. Who the hell did this album? Sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
His name's definitely getting out of it.
Yeah,
it's good.
And then went back and had a look at some of his back catalogue, and he's done Free State, Tread, and
Free State?
My Secret Circus.
Yeah, he did that.
Bloody all of those
He's
albums.
doing Emperor next
sound
as
brilliant.
well.
Yeah.
They're awesome too.
And I'm pretty sure that Sonny from Emperor, Sonny from Emperor, I'm pretty sure that was part of, like, he sort of said to us, who did your album and stuff like that, chased up Ricky.
That's going to come up awesome too. I reckon,
yeah, I'm looking forward to
they're
hearing
awesome.
That. They're great. Yeah. Looking forward to hearing that.
Okay, we're back. That was just a very small piece of the interview that we did with Dead Star Renegade.
Very small.
Next week on our final episode for the year, we'll throw some more of that in there.
Yes.
So hope you enjoyed that.
Yep.
Now, our feature artist for this week is a band from Perth called Babyjane.
Yes.
Now, this band I think is rather cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I'm spewing that we missed them when they were in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago.
We did try, it just didn't work out.
Yeah. But they're a 4-piece. They're rock.
Yeah.
There's nothing overly heavy about them.
Slight sort of very, very slice of a punk kind of an influence to it, but nothing dramatic. It's still straight up. I thought it was more blues infused hard rock.
There is quite a bit of blues influence in there. Yeah, it does lean towards the hard rock.
Yeah,
but it's mostly a straight up rock record.
Yeah,
the record itself is called "Are You Listening?"
Yep.
Influences on this band.
Yeah.
On their official bio, they have bands such as AC/DC, Rose Tattoo, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Van Halen, you know, all the usual sort of thing. I hear a lot of Skid Row in here.
Yep.
And we both think that the vocals have a real Dexter Holland from The Offspring kind of sound. I know that there's a lot of people out there that aren't really fans of The Offspring, but if you got to give them credit for anything, Dexter is a great vocalist.
Yeah, especially for what they do. He suits what they do perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's an influence or not, but we hear it, and it does translate well onto this record as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's an actual influence on the band, but there's a definite similarity in the sound vocally.
Exactly.
So,
not lyrically, not theme-wise, but just sound-wise.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to hear Babyjane doing Pretty Fly for a White Guy, for example.
No, not bloody likely.
Or Why Don't You Get a Job?
No.
Now, it is a great album. I've got a couple of favourites on here. It was actually really one of those albums where it's hard to pick a favourite track.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of the title track, Are You Listening?, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But my two absolute favourites on it are Quicksand.
Yep.
Now, I think that's got a lot to do with that track is probably the one where I hear the most Skid Row influence, and I'm a massive Skid Row and Sebastian Bach fan. So,
in case you guys didn't know that already,
and the other one is Can You Keep a Secret?
Yep,
they're both great tracks, and I highly recommend either of those two tracks. But I'd recommend the album. Overall,
the album overall is cool. I've got a couple of standouts for myself as well. One is Demon Tonic, which I just found to be a really cool, really driven song. The other one for me was a town called Sinnerstone.
Yep.
Now, that one has a much darker tone. The riff sort of chugs along a bit more.
That was almost on my list too.
No, I find that one, just to have that groove is really good. And just the darker tones to it. I'm a big fan of the darker side of things, and I like that one a lot for what it does and it represents in that song. So
yeah, it's definitely a cool song.
I will say one thing here. I do think that the guitarist was influenced a bit by Brian May from Queen as well.
You did say that earlier, and I can definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, I do think that.
I hadn't picked it up myself, but once you pointed it out, it jumped straight out. So it's good to see someone like Brian May's influence shine through, because even though everybody knows that he's a great guitarist, he's rarely credited. Yeah, he always gets overshadowed by the likes of Slash and Randy Rhoads, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
no.
Brian May is a great guitarist, so don't forget him.
Well, you think about the fact that Queen only ever used one guitarist on album and live, and he was able to do all of those things just himself, and so he is a phenomenal guitarist.
Yep. But it's all about Babyjane right now.
It is indeed.
So let's have a look at their debut film clip for Are You Listening?, the title track off the album Are You Listening? Enjoy. All right, we're back. That was "Are You Listening" by Babyjane.
Off of the same album.
Off the album of the same name.
Yep.
I think that's probably one of the tracks where that Dexter Holland from the Offspring sound is most dominant.
Yep. I'll go with you there. Yep.
Yeah. But overall, great album.
And I think that song too does show the influences in particular of bands like Guns N' Roses in there as well. So
I actually, this just popped into my head now. Yeah. I think that there's a bit of a Oasis kind of thing there too.
Possible, yeah.
Real slight.
Yeah, not heavy, but no, I get what you mean by that. Yeah, just in the tones and stuff in the background. Yeah, no, it makes sense to say that. I agree.
So, get a copy of the album.
Absolutely, go and show the support like we're all encouraging you to do. So
yep, it's available on iTunes and through the band's website. So yeah, definitely grab a copy.
Not hard to find.
As usual, it's going cheap. Yeah, they're always going cheap.
Well, everyone's trying to sell these CDs these days, so
yep.
And it's getting around that time of year where you go back over the show, and I'm sure there's a few things to be stocking fillers.
Yeah,
so
perfect stocking fillers.
This can be one of them for sure.
CDs fit in stockings very easily.
Yes, we both love them.
So do concert tickets.
Even easier.
I'd
love it.
That's just my way of saying
full of concert tickets.
Oh, yeah. That's just my way of saying don't sit at home, go to a gig.
Exactly. Get out there, folks. Get into it. There is a scene that is thriving and vibrant, and it's unreal when you're out there in it.
Yep. But that's probably all we've got time for. And in fact, we've gone overtime as usual because we like the sound of our own voices too much.
And we don't really care about time constraints.
But yeah, that's all for the Hard Rock Show. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen
this week. Yeah.
Stay tuned next week for our final show of the year.
Yep.
There'll be more Dead Star Renegade interview. And we're sort of going to do a little bit of a rundown of all the stuff that we've gone throughout the year. The highlights of what we've done through the year. Not a highlight reel.
No, not a montage.
It'll be new footage of us talking about stuff that we've already talked about.
Enjoy and look forward to it, folks.
Yeah, so until next week, drink up.
Rock on. Who?
Come on. Blah, 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 Timmy. Blah, blah, blah.